watching Leicester Till I Die TV.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
To play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Right, Chris.
I'll be anyone's Chris if it gets me an intro. How are we all? And welcome to Leicester Till I Die TV1. And obviously, if you know, we've got a sister channel. But enough about that. We are here to we're here to preview Saturday's lovely game against Cardiff City at the weekend. Now, those you probably may know, this fixture has a little bit of twinge of sadness to it in regards to it, but we'll get on to that. We're going to talk happy stuff with my guest Tom in the background, who's patiently waiting and saved the day by coming on today. If you all want to check out where we all are over our social medias, then just right here you can see across the bottom there, YouTube, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Wish my X would fly away sometimes, but that's it is. Facebook, TikTok, make sure it's the LTID TV1, not Chris's personal one, because you won't get a follow back on that. And obviously, if you are listening to it on our podcast platforms, you can select many of them. But here we are, the undefeated team, the second best team in the championship in terms of league position, with a certain Ipswich Town, also on 6 points. But we're off to a flyer. They call them the Bluebirds. He's flew in at the last minute to save my life. I am going to get straight on with introducing our guest. Tom, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well on all fronts, mate. Season's going well, and thanks to you, I'm now don't have to, put people through the pain of just seeing my face. They get to listen to someone with some sense talk. So obviously weekend game. We touched upon it just before we went live. There, we'll talk about the unfortunate. I suppose you could call it the phoenix out of the ashes sort of moment to come about the event. But two different starts to the season. Obviously, Leicester have got 2 wins in the bounce, and 3 if you include our cup win. You got yourselves a creditable draw from Cardiff against Leeds. Some may say you threw away a 2-0 lead, but away from home, always difficult. And then slipped on the big banana skin, lost to QPR at home. How have you seen it, your first 2 games? Do you feel the kind of results match how you played, or do you feel a bit unjust with your results so far?
I think the QPR one, definitely. It was a fair result. So the first half especially, we were so bad. It looked like we just completely froze, which is a shame because, definitely pre kind of lockdown and COVID and everything, the Cardiff City Stadium was a fortress, but now we just get the vibe that teams aren't scared to play there anymore. And it was just a weird game. It's a game we could have won because even though we lost 2-1, we hit I think Aaron Ramsey hit the crossbar once with a massive shot from about 30 yards out just before they went and scored. And then Mark McGuinness hit the crossbar as well in like the 90th minute or something. So it could have been a very undeserving 3-2 win. And then, 4 points from 6 is not as bad, but QPR deserved that win. Leeds away, it was strange. It was really kind of weird to watch it because it was, it's a tale as old as time. You say, if you told me at the start of the day we'd get a point at Ellen Road, I would have bit your hand off for it. But it's just kind of the way that it came. I think after they got the first goal back, just after half time, and the amount they were pressing, it's like, I've seen this game 100 times before. I know what's coming, and I don't see us winning it. So, 2 very different games to start the season. But I think I'm, still trying to keep a bit of a level head. It's still quite a new squad. It's a new manager who's come in. I think the players are still kind of learning off each other. And yeah, just, trying to remain as optimistic as I can.
Yeah, I mean, like you said there, you've had a new manager at the start of the season. I mean, it doesn't always work out for everybody. I mean, we've got a new manager and 6 points, and you've got one, but I can understand from a fan's point of view, like you're 2-0 up away from home, and even though it's Leeds, and yes, they're up there with us as one of the favourites, it's obviously disappointing to chuck away a lead against anybody, regardless of it. Your new manager, is it kind of like us? You have to give patience to the new manager in charge of it. Tell everybody about your new gaffer for this season and what you're expecting from him.
So I think he's going to be here for the long term, which isn't really known for Cardiff. Last year we had 3 managers, 4 including caretakers as well. So last year was, I think, just such an absolute disaster from when we sacked Steve Morrison.
Would I be right in saying that your last manager had a bit of common with our old manager? Did you feel that he was a bit of a...
Steve Morrison apparently is a little bit, and that's why he's not managed to get a job within the top four flights of English football. Apparently he fell out with quite a few of the players. There's a few other podcasts who have made feelings on him quite clear, and he fell out with the board. Apparently, some of the players didn't really enjoy playing for him. So it wasn't really so much a results thing, I think, with him, because it was a bit up and down the start of last year. But I think it was more just down to he wasn't liked that much by important people, which is odd because it seems like the total opposite is going to be with Errol Bullitt now, because we got people on the board. We've got Mehmet Bellman coming out and saying that he was massively in favour of him, and apparently he wanted to get him at some point earlier last year, but it didn't happen for whatever reason. So I think now we're going to be with Bullitt for the long haul, and I don't think he would have. It seems weird considering we're under a transfer ban, but I don't think he would have had the freedom within the transfer market so far, with granted only loan signings and free agents and what have you. If there wasn't kind of a project there for the long term, whatever that project is, I don't know. Hopefully promotion, but it's going to take a good few years before we can start thinking about being anywhere near that. I think I truly believe he'll be Cardiff manager at the end of this season, which is quite rare for us after the last few years. And I think he's going to be here for the long term.
Yeah, I mean, you would say, if history is anything to go by, that managers don't normally get a long fuse in football, do they? The fuse seems to have been over the generations. It got shorter and shorter time. Impatience has become the martyrdom of football. If fans get impatient these days with the growth of social media, it almost puts pressure on owners to kind of react to what they're reading and seeing from supporters. I mean, I've always kept a keen eye on the Championship, mainly because my mother and father supported lower league clubs for a while. I say that tongue in cheek, Wolves are still in the Premiership, and my mum being a Cov fan, so I've kept an eye on it. You've not, ever since that certain playoff final, semi-final where silly Frenchman chipped it down the middle. I can't remember his name, but we don't talk about that here on this channel. I have noticed though that Cardiff have. I know you went up to the Premier League eventually. We'll get on to that in a second. But is this a case of, even though you've been suffering, with bottom end finishes or mid-table finishes in the Championship, whatever reason is this a case of Cardiff fans take a deep breath, suck it up, because you might not be as bad, but it's still going to take us a few more years to basically progress up the division with this new manager?
Oh, definitely. I think we will have an improvement this year, and I think everybody's kind of in the same boat that mid-table will just do us fine. It's not a boring season, but one where we're not in a relegation scrap. One where we can just stay out of the headlines in the press for reasons on or off the pitch. Just something completely normal with the same manager and the same group of players, without anything going too badly without, being 4 games to go and still could potentially go down like we have been the last couple of years. Just, I'm, I say it sounds weird, but I'm so desperate for just like maybe 11th or 10th place finish, just to an easy ride for the season. Like that would be perfect. I'd be so pleased with that. Which sounds bad, but it's just after the last 2 seasons we've had, I just want something a little bit normal.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of teams in that division that have been in that area. I noticed that Birmingham are usually down there. They're probably hoping for the same. So it's such a tough division. I mean, I know we're red hot favourites, and it's even if I took my blue tinted glasses off, it's easy to see why we are favourites. Not just the quality still in our squad, and then we've added to that. I mean, we've convinced the Premier League player in Connor Cody, typically got his first injury, but we convinced him to drop down a division, and Harry Winks sort of similar from Spurs. But the majority of the division, I think 3/4 of it, if not probably 80% of it now, is former Premier League squad. So, well, teams, or I say, maybe not so much the players are still there, but it's a difficult league, and I think it's probably the league where you have to have the most patient. The most patience with it, because you could get stuck in there. We've seen it so many times, and I suppose you get to a point like yourselves where you've been out of it for, if I've got it right, since 2018 you was in the Premier League, weren't you? So
yeah,
it's been a few years now. You've got a new manager, like I said, who's probably going to given time to do so. But yeah, I mean, whilst I skillfully remember that, I asked you beforehand to give a little think to this question of how many times throughout the history, according to 11 versus 11, how many times Cardiff and Leicester have played. Now, Craig, who isn't here tonight, unfortunately, he's usually my co-host on these shows, he actually got it spot on, which was awkward because the Huddersfield fan got it over. I'm going to give you a bit more time whilst we take a last trip, as I mentioned there, when we were in the Premier League together. It was 2018. And normally I just talk about the last game of the season, which was, I think we lost to you in December, 29th of December. That was the last Premier League game. Unfortunately, and we'll talk about it before, I'll let you have a little gush about your victory over there. It was kind of like, thanks for what happened in the previous leg, and I'm sure Leicester fans and Cardiff fans will remember strongly why I'm mentioning the game before. It was kind of like a thanks for being so gracious in that moment. How did it feel? I mean, obviously it wasn't as raw as the away game that we had at your place, but how was it to kind of get a win over Leicester at that point in the Premier League?
It felt massive at the time, because it was, we weren't firmly in like relegation spots or anything. It was still a couple of teams, if I'm remembering right, that were in and around down that end of the table, and it was one I was kind of dreading, because it was only a couple of years after you guys had won the league, and still like pushing towards the top half, like European spots. And I just remember thinking that this feels like it could be a season changing moment. Maybe this could kind of give us the spark we need to go on and stay up. Obviously in the end it didn't happen, but it was probably one of the better moments of that year. There was stuff happened on the pitch which weren't great. There were a few results. We waited so long. So I remember waiting so long to even score a goal. It took, I think, nearly a month when we were back up to score a goal, and we were home to Arsenal, and we lost 3-2 in the end. But that first goal that we scored, it just felt like such a massive relief. It's like, finally, we're not going to go down having not scored a goal, and kind of thing. But yeah, that game in particular, I remember thinking that it could be a turning point. It felt massive. It was a great goal as well, from I remember Victor Camarasa, he was a loan signing for that year, and it was a standard. Never fall in love with a loan signing because he's just going to go at the end of the year. And I think even now, Cardiff fans look back fondly on Camarasa and would just love him to come back. He, like, after all this time, I just really like to have him back.
Yeah, sometimes there's a lone player that sticks long in the memory. Certain one that I was hoping, last season that we was going to sign. We had Adam Lookman online. I wish he was online and in the chat. He was on loan with us last season. I really liked him. By all accounts, the Brendan Bellend was going to sign him, but that's it. It didn't happen, and it's lived on in the memories. Honestly, now this is a very bittersweet moment because Cardiff, Cardiff and Leicester were not forced together, but they were brought together by a common heartache. The game before, I'm going to take everybody back to the 3rd of November 2018. It'd been a few weeks since a tragic helicopter accident had taken the lives of not just our owner, someone popped a horn, not through nothing, our owner, but obviously the people on board and including the pilot. It was a horrible day in football. But out of the ashes rises the phoenix, because the scenes that followed that were absolutely beautiful. The support from around the world was there. It was a moment that embraced football. And you talk about sometimes incidents, putting rivalries aside, even the England-Wales thing you could bring into that, and to a degree, it was all put aside for the sake of football. And I guess in a way you had the bittersweetness of being our first opponents to share that moment with. And I don't know if you went to the game yourself, Tom, but just on the fact that you support Cardiff, I'm sure everybody in the comment section that are watching and doing exactly what it says at the bottom there, I would like to say thank you for how your supporters just took us in your arms and said, we're here for you, we're supporting you. The football is not even second to a point. It's all about being there and showing our support and the love for one another in the game of football. Because, and obviously yourselves, and the reason I say you kind of understood that heartache was because of that horrible incident that happened with a player that you were transferring over. So, Tom, were you there at the game? And even if you weren't, how was that experience for you trying to maybe watch or listen to that game if you weren't there?
So, yeah, I was there. I remember the whole kind of week leading up to it so well. So I was at uni. I was in my first year of uni at Swansea, and I remember chatting to some of my mates like in the week leading up, saying, going to football this weekend. So, but I really don't know how I feel about it. And they were saying, "Oh, why is that? What do you mean?" So, "Oh, we're playing Leicester." It was just like that, and it kind of felt like if we won, which in the end we didn't. Almost feel like it wouldn't really feel right to kind of celebrate on a day like that. I remember the game really well. I remember being a really kind of somber but still sort of respectful atmosphere between the two sets of fans. It's like you said, it's just one of these things where football just gets put aside. Like I said, it was really sad to see that the owner had passed away and the other people on board the plane as well. And in all honesty, I wasn't really fussed that day that we'd lost, because there's some things that are just so much more important than football. And the fact that it was just like a really kind of nice moment for your players and for the fans who travelled up and just fans of Leicester kind of everywhere. Just so soon after it just completely rocked by this kind of tragedy, that you're given something to kind of smile about and to enjoy, and it's you feel like really close to the club at times like this. And I remember as well, because I went to the first game after the Salah tragedy, where the plane unfortunately went down, and it was home to Bournemouth, and it was a similar kind of atmosphere again, where there was like a kind of mutual kinship between the home and away fans, and it felt just like it's is, it sounds like a bit of thing that people say every time, but it felt like a real kind of football family coming together and sort of reaching that arm out to be like, we are here, and we're gonna help support you guys through this the way we can. And yeah, it was very kind of, I think somber is probably the right word. It was a pretty sad day, but then there was also that feeling that it was nice at the end that you guys had something to celebrate. And I remember me, my dad, and quite a lot of the fans in my stand, we all stayed behind after the game and we clapped your players off. And it was just nice to see like the players go over to your guys' fans and like applaud them and like that, and the fans chanting to them, and it's just kind of like that sort of feeling of togetherness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, mate. I mean, I unfortunately not living anywhere near Cardiff or being able to go at the time, wasn't able to get tickets to the game or get there even if I did. So I had to listen to it on the radio, and Leicester fans will know who I'm talking about when I say Matt Elliott and ex-Fox. He kind of got a bit of emotion on it. I listened to it on the Leicester City website, not on LCFC, BBC Radio Leicester, should I say, so I got different commentary to most. I'm pretty sure it was him, might have been Jerry Taggart. They're both ex-Leicester players, but there was he noted that a few Cardiff fans actually stood up and not so much cheered, because obviously you've just conceded a goal no matter the situation, but almost applauded the fact, like you said there, it almost felt like you deserved it, for what the turmoil we'd gone through over them few weeks. Really did deserve it. So yeah. Anyway, I mean, thank you very much, Tom, for that. It's a horrible moment to talk about two incidents that both clubs kind of came hand in hand, and through the darkness and the grey areas sometimes that football goes through, on and off the pitch. It's kind of bittersweet, but it's nice to have a moment like that where we can really show that the beautiful game really does still exist throughout. On to the more interesting part, right? Now to cheer everybody up. Everybody loves a good quiz, and if you do love a good quiz, before I keep Tom thinking in his head of the number, please do go out and check out our sister channel. It's a brand new sister channel. It is all about football. It's LTID TV2, the quiz channel. As you can see there, it's all the things that you need to know are there for it. We've got a quiz coming up. I am trying to reorganize this week's quiz to get someone on and get it in place. Tom, if you're interested, by the way, it's just a football quiz. It's not a Leicester one, so you could just come on it. It's open to everybody. So let everybody know. Go and check out. Go and give it some love and subscribe and support the channel. Because if you support this content, you're going to love the content over there. That's the shameless plug over there. And as Terry has said in the comments, come on, guys, smash that like button. Show our guest here just how much you love the content and him being on here. Because look at that face. How can you not like two people wearing glasses and smiles on their faces? You don't see that every day, do you? But we've talked about the previous time that we played, which was ironically in the Premier League. But we are now both in the Championship. Tom, question number one for you: do you remember the last time we was in the Championship together? And B, the result. Oh, see, you wasn't asking for the result, were you? You weren't expecting that.
I remember when we were last in the Championship together, because it was the year we were in red and we went up as champions. And that was, sorry to bring it up, but the Watford Forestieri playoff.
It wasn't a playoff, mate. That was a pre-season friendly. We don't talk about.
Oh, of course. Sorry, I forgot about that.
When you lose them, it's just a friendly, mate. It doesn't count.
Yeah. Of course. Sorry. Yes. Oh, getting old to them. I'm forgetting little details. So remember, it was that season, and that was the last time we'd actually played each other in a championship. Because the next year we finished rock bottom, and you went up as champions. Oh, I can't remember if it was home or away. The last game.
I tell you what, you don't need to give me that much information because I've written down the date, the year, the score, but forgot whether it was at home or away. So I'll let you off if you don't remember if it was at your ground or not.
I think because it would have been second half of the season, I'll say that it was a 1-0 Cardiff win.
You were close. You definitely scored one goal, but it was, and you were right, it was the back end of the season. It was the 12th of March 2014, and it was a 1-1 draw. Don't quiz me on who scored for us, because I couldn't tell you that. I barely found the stat out myself. But yeah, Tom, that was the score the last time we played. Now, I informed you about this beforehand. Now, this is one of them I might do throughout the previews for everybody, just to make it a bit more interesting. Leicester and Cardiff have obviously, for different reasons, been at different ends of the English ladder. You know, you guys had to work your way up from the bottom to the top, and we've spent the majority of our time Division 1, Championship, whatever you still refer to it as, of the Premier League. So, Craig, who's not here, so obviously I can't have a Leicester representative take a guess here. But if anyone wants to comment, wants to guess what I'm about to ask, Tom, how many times do you think Leicester and Cardiff, according to 11v11, have faced each other?
See, I don't think it's that much. I don't think we've played each other very often, because like you said, we've spent years in like what could be like the modern day League One and League Two.
Do you remember, this is going back to our days as when Leicester City were known as Leicester Foster. This is the dawning of time of both clubs.
I'm going to guess, and I could be completely wrong, 102.
102.
Yeah, I think.
You're going to lock in 102. I can tell you that one of your digits is right. I can tell you that somebody in the comments is either an absolute genius guesser or has the power of Google on the side. But I will tell you that you are 40 games too many, if I've done my maths correctly. And Stuart, well done. 62 games we have played. Yes, Leicester, and let me find the comment here. I think it was Stuart that said it. Is very right in saying that Cardiff, and I remember you just being one of our bogey teams in general. You know, I'm only a 90s child, so it's more the 2000 memories I remember. We never seemed to really beat you. And I will end it on a fun fact for you on that one. But we have played 62 times. Leicester have won 23 of them. There have been 14 draws, and Cardiff do have the edge on 25 wins. But something that may interest you, you know, to know that obviously the last time we won the Premier League, Leicester had the chance but failed to do the double. I try and find a stat between the two teams that maybe puts a smile on the opposition's face and gives them something to go for. Now, I know this is our first meeting this season, so there's not really much to go on here. But when was the last time that Leicester City managed to do a notable league double over Cardiff? I'll give you a clue. It's definitely in the 19s. It's not in the 1800s. Don't worry about that. Think total amount games played, maybe something like that number is included in your 19 something season, because it's way before mine and yours time, Tom, unless you're a very, very young and handsome looking 70-year-old or 80-year-old or whatever you may be. I think it's before our time, and I'm sure it's behind my youthful audience in the chat. So have a guess, Tom. When do you think the last time Leicester staggeringly managed to get the double done over you in league competition?
$1958.
He is very close, ladies and gentlemen. The last time Leicester did the league double over Cardiff City, it was in 1961, 1962. So you were so close to getting it right in order of that. I didn't want to give too much away by saying it was one of them numbers before, but yes, you were very, very close. I thought it happened a bit earlier, but then I checked the months and realised, well, that must have been the season before. We have some information from Nate on the last game, who's going on. But Leicester won 3-0 and 4-0. I forgot which way around it was, but neither result is pleasant for you, 3 or 4-0. But it bodes well maybe for your record against us, being as that's the last time we at least did a league double over you. Yeah, I mean, Nate says here, in case you're wondering, the game in the Championship was Cardiff. Michael Keane scored in the 72nd minute, and Ruddy Gustad, 90th minute. What a player. Throwback. But yeah, that's got to give you confidence, hasn't it? The fact that it's been since 61, 62 that we've done a league double over you.
Yeah. up until 2 years ago, nobody in the South Wales derby had done a double, and now unfortunately Swansea have done it back to back the last 2 years.
Oh wow, that's not something you like to tell about your rivals, is it? Were they just friendlies? Sorry, it's not like
Yeah, they were friendlies.
Friendlies.
I
These
think it might
friendlies.
have been the Welsh Cup and the Nathaniel Hemsley Cup, so they didn't really count.
Well, there you go then. I mean, talking about oppositions as we are, I just want to say hi to Mike, who is a Welsh fan. He's a Newport and a Manchester United fan. He says, "Big up, Brad. Smash the like button and come on, beat these, mate." I think he's got a little bit of bias to us. It says, "Please," as well. Well, because you were so nice, Mike. Of course, we're going to be. This is the part of the show now where I'm going to give you a chance to really think about it. Firstly, have you seen much of Leicester play this season, and what do you think of our style of football? And then my next question would be to you: who's the danger man in the Cardiff side at the moment that Leicester fans should be wary of, and how do you think you're going to set up against it? With the first part, have you seen much of this play, and do you know what you're expecting to come up against?
I saw the first game this season because it was one of the televised ones, and it was just before Cardiff when he played Coventry.
Lovely.
I remember that one, and you guys won 2-1. And I remember watching that, thinking that, and I'm not just saying that because I'm on a Leicester podcast now, thinking you guys have potential to absolutely walk the league this year. I think the fact that you've been able to recruit well from the Premier League with, like I said, Connor Cody unfortunately injured, and Harry Winks, the fact you managed to get them to, drop down to the Championship, but also keeping on to players as well, like Iheanacho and Ndidi and Harry Sutar, and especially Keenan Dewsbury Hall. Like, I rate him so much. I think he's such a good player. And I think that game against Coventry showed it. In fact, even though you were losing, you can just switch her on in an instant and, not look back and just show how great a team you are. So I think it's going to be a pretty tough ask. When I was looking at the kind of the fixture list for Cardiff this year, to have to do Leeds away and Leicester away in the first 3 games of the season, it's pretty brutal. But it's ones I'd rather get out of the way early, rather than it being a game with like 4 games to go and you need to get points for them to mean something. So I think it's probably coming at quite a nice time. It's a squad that is still gelling, as in Cardiff now. And, maybe players will have a point to prove. And I think it would send quite a big message and solidify a lot of players' places in the team if we have quite a few good performances on Saturday. But I think it is going to be quite a tough game for Cardiff. I think it could be quite a tricky afternoon for us. In terms of players to look out for, I'm going to cheat a bit and I'm going to say 2. With
Rule breaking already.
I know. But from the start, I'd say Josh Bowler. He's a winger that we signed on loan from Nottingham Forest. He was at Blackpool last year and he did pretty well. But I think he didn't do as great against QPR, but he was still a little bit of a menace. He did really well against Leeds. Really skillful, strong and quick player. Another one I'd say to look out for, because it would likely be a substitution, is a youngster called Ollie Tanner. We signed him last season from Lewis, and he spent last year out on loan, but he's come on a few times as a sub, and he's a big boy. Like I thought he was. I just kind of assumed that because he's a fast, skillful kind of winger, he'd be a bit shorter. He's about 6'2", and he's built quite strong as well. So I think if you have a defense that's having to deal with Josh Bowler for like 70 odd minutes, and then you have Ollie Tanner come on just for the end of it. I think there's quite a good little kind of dynamic they're forming already. And hopefully it sees success. I don't think Tanner's ready to start yet. Maybe another 5, 6, 7, 8 games, then hopefully we can see him break into the first team a bit more and starting a bit more. But in terms of players to look out for, I'd definitely say those 2. Hopefully Tanner can make an appearance of some sort.
Well, there you go, guys. That's who Tom reckons Leicester should be wary of. A battle down the wing could be happening. I mean, Mavadidi's becoming a star for us, so that could be interesting to be keeping an eye on the wide positions. Tom, before I let you go, because you have been amazing, I'm going to get a score prediction from you. But as we always do on here, we've got one thing in common with this. I'm about to do a shameless plug. And that is, if you are listening on our podcast platforms, this is where else you can find us if you wish to just listen to us and not see my ugly mug every time I'm on air.
Leicester Till I Die podcasts on the Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Anchor, and all podcast platforms.
Something is coming. Something big to this podcast.
Hello, Chris.
Of course, this show is graciously, I'll try my words again. This show is graciously a part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
The TalkSport Fan Network is the ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts,
including Leicester Till I Die, independent analysis and reaction for the Foxes faithful.
The TalkSport Fan Network.
Unbeatable club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Follow the podcast on the TalkSport Fan Network.
So that's where you can find us and follow us if you want to on the podcast platforms. Tom, give you time to think about it a little bit. I did say we'd do this at the start of the show before. But what's your score prediction for the game? Are you optimistic of 3 points, or are you going to be sitting on the fence that most us Leicester fans were used to sitting on last season?
See, the boring answer would be the one I think is probably most likely to happen. But, you know what, I'm going to be bold. I'm going to say this is where Cardiff's season starts to properly take off. They'll be desperate to put last week's pretty, let's be honest, terrible result against QPR behind us. I think players are going to have some big games, and they're going to really want to prove to the manager that they should be starting week in, week out. So I'm going to go with a narrow, plucky 1-0 Cardiff win.
Well, there you have it, guys. Tom is going for a narrow, plucky 1-0 Cardiff win. Tom, thank you very much for coming on. Before you do go, and I do mean this now, I will be letting you go because I can see him signing someone in the background saying, "Please come and get me." But do tell everybody where they can find you on your social medias and come and give your channel and socials massive support.
Sweet. So, my name's Tom. I'm a Cardiff City fan from South Wales, and you can find me on Twitter or X's or whatever it's called this week at Thomas Taylor 4. That's Thomas without a H. And there's a link to my blog on my Twitter bio, which talks a bit about football, but also other sports like rugby, boxing, NFL, cricket, a bit of everything really. So whatever sports you're into, as well as football, there'll be something on there.
There you go. Go and check it out, guys. Obviously, not just football, lots of sports there. And I heard a bit of cricket on there. So he's already going to get a follow from me on that one. I do love a bit of cricket, especially with the Ashes. Finally got one over the Aussies in the women football. So does that mean we get the urn? I hope so. We'll find out when I put my appeal in. Chris, my boss, the big boss man, just checking in, popping with stuff. Everything's okay, isn't it, Tom? Say yes.
Oh, it's been brilliant. It's amazing. Everything's going amazing.
There you go, Chris. There you go. And here he goes. Just like I said, I'm sure everybody in the chat is been thankful to hear your words of wisdom and talking about the game at the weekend, and obviously the moment that happened in 2018 where we united football as one. Thank you. Scott is saying, I'll vow for Brad he's been thumbs up. Well, I hope that means I haven't got something thumb up me. What's it end? That means I've been good, Scott. Thank you very much. Tom, it's been great having you on. Thank you very much for coming on, giving our followers and everything. I get my words out some days, Tom, and some days I just jumble them up. Giving your opinions on the game and talking everything Leicester Cardiff. I'm going to keep the show tradition. I would wish you good luck, but I wouldn't mean it. But apart from that, as long as we get up, automatically you can do whatever you like this season. After Saturday, mate, have a great season.
Yeah, you guys too.
Yeah, no worries. And thanks again, Tom.
Thank you. Ta-da.
Ta-da. That was Tom there. Make sure you do go and check out and support all the things that he does. He's been fantastic. But never fear, just because Craig isn't here, this good-looking, handsome chap has taken both roles of responsibility. Haven't I, Brad? Yes, Brad, you've done a great job doing the job of two hosts. Well, I think you. Thank you very much. Oh, well, you're welcome. Well, you can go home now. Anyway, now I've stopped and made myself dizzy. We have got one more part to the show to do. Now, I do appreciate that maybe if you're watching this on your phone, or like I am doing it on a giant laptop, you may not be able to see the complete lineup of this show. Let me just get rid of the banner there. But I am about to go through it as soon as I can remove this, because we know we're talking about Cardiff Huddersfield. This is Brad's 11 for the show. Now, what do I think it's going to be? Well, you guys in the comments, get your lineup predictions in there. We've got Scott saying Tom's been a great guest also. Yes, he has. He was fantastic. DJ Nick 001 expect Leicester will dominate possession as Leeds did against Cardiff, though clearly have Ugbo firing. Need to keep him quiet and we could take the points. It's going to be a good game. Obviously, us and Ipswich are the two leading the pack at the moment, so it'd be a great one to take for Cardiff fans. And maybe it's a humbling Leicester need to bring us back down to the earth and remember that there is some fantastic teams in this division. I hope you've enjoyed the show so far, DJ Nick, and I hope you have. Give us a lovely like on the video and a subscribe if you are new. But into my predicted 11. Yes, this is my predicted 11. Tell me down below in the comments as I go through them. Do you agree with me? Would you swap anyone out? Or do you think I'm a genius? Or, you know, maybe I'm just delaying it till I find it. But maybe you think, Brad, sorry, mate, but your team selection...
Bell end.
We're about to find out. I'll read it through you quickly because I don't have anybody to do this with. Obviously, in goal, assuming he is fit, I have gone for Hermadsen. But this is where the regularities stop. Rumours have persisted that a certain Christiansen is rumoured to be leaving the club. It was understood by Enzo's press conference that he was touch or go for fitness for the weekend's game, and that's why he didn't feature. Despite that, rumours have continued to persist. However, I think Enzo is about to put them rumours to bed. And I think that Christensen is going to start on the left wing, or left wing back, left back position. So what does that mean for the centre-back pairing? Well, I've kept it as a two centre-back pairing. And I have got Sideshow Bob, the centre-back attacking midfielder striker of this Leicester side, of course, Wout Faze, and alongside him, moving in just a little bit, not being on that left-hand side so much, but on the left-hand side of the pairing, I've obviously gone with Leicester Loney, Callum Doyle. Sticking with a man who's been terrific since his return to the team, completing the defence, I've gone with Ricardo Pereira, taking up the right-back position. Now, the midfield three, there were so many options to go with, and a certain new signing, as you may be able to see there, joining the ranks and being available for Saturday was actually quite difficult to come up with. Naturally, goal-scoring machine Dewsbury Hall is made by team because it's Dewsbury Hall has been phenomenal since he started the season, and he has to make it in the team. And also, most notably, one of our new signings, Harry Winks. Obviously already a fan favourite with you lot. He already has a nice little catchy song going. And, you know, he's been phenomenal for me. For me, purchase of the season, we haven't really been able to see much from Cody, and Mavadidi's been brilliant as well. But for me, brilliant purchase. Looks like he's going to be a fan favourite, and he's already looking like a great signing for the club. So then I had a bit of a headache. Not just from hearing my own voice, but I thought, who do I put in this pairing? Do I put Ndidi in, who's been selected for a few weeks? Do I put Dennis Pratt in, who's emerged as a reborn player under Enzo? Or do I put in the new Cassidy? As I'm going to call him Cassidy, Butch Cassidy. He's in the team. The Italian arrived yesterday. He's been in training ever since. He's looking good, and apparently he's fit and ready for selection. And I nearly didn't put him in. I nearly didn't put him because I thought, how's Enzo going to do? But me personally, I decided in the end I'm going to put him in there. I think his electric pace, his fearless attitude is exactly what we need to be getting at Cardiff from the off. So Cassidy, Winks and Dewsbury Hall make up my midfield three, as you can see right there, hopefully. So what does that mean for the front three? The final three, the three musketeers, if you will. Well, the easiest one to select was our absolute dynamo, the goal-scoring hero against Huddersfield. Mavididi keeps his place on the left, in my opinion. It's under no doubt. Look, I love Mark Albrighton. We all love a Kevin. We love Kevin. But his days as a starter are all but done, I feel. And this is why Mavididi is taking the role for me to be our future left winger in replacement of a certain arrow-firing Harvey Barnes, who was one of the few players that left us this season who I'm happy for being at Newcastle. I think he got a goal and assist against some European giants, Aston Villa. Yuri Tillemans, I think his name is, plays from, but I can't remember him. I don't know who he is. I jest tongue-in-cheek, but, you know, I'm slightly more happy for Barnes than I am Yuri with the way he left over the way Yuri Tillemans left. But now we get into the difficult one, the ones that you guys tend to argue about in the comments. Should it be Iheanacho? Should it be Vardy? Can Vardy's legs play every week? Do we need to give Iheanacho a chance? Is he going Everton? Is it Daka? And I've just decided that the rumours have calmed down for Iheanacho, the talks of the new contract, and the fact that Enzo's picking him makes me believe that he's going to be the star striker going forward. I think Vardy's going to find himself in that role that maybe a few of us happened last season or maybe even the season before. But I think now's the time this season that if we can sit him down, get him playing, get him goals, get him confident, get him wanting to stay, get him on a longer contract, then we're going to have to start seeing Iheanacho lead the line. And that's why, for me, he is the leader of the line. So that leaves just one position. Last but certainly not least, right winger. Now, I'm sure a lot of you were thinking, oh, it's going to be McAteer that Brad puts here. It's going to be Marcel, you know, the wonder kid from our youth academy. He's going to pick one of them two to go there. But I just feel, and I talked about Iheanacho there being a player that's not got long on his contract. Dennis Pratt is also a player that's not got long left on his contract. And Dennis Pratt, whether he's started or come on as a substitute, has been involved in one way or another in the goals contribution. Now, maybe he could have got himself on the score sheet and had a goal to his name as well against Huddersfield. But that aside, I wanted Pratt in this team. And I think we saw it a few times under Brendan. But I think the way Enzo would use him on that right would be slightly different. He wouldn't be tied to the right. He'd be able to have a free roam in. Maybe him and Cassidy would interchange with each other a little bit. And I think Dennis Pratt is deserving of a place in the team. He's waited patiently for a certain Yuri to have gave up on Leicester and left the club to be given the chance to shine. And I think, like I said about Iheanacho, this is detrimental to keeping these players that we know have the talent. We know, given a run in the side, Iheanacho and Pratt can be good for them and can be good for this team and can perform really well. And that, for me, is why I've included Pratt in my front three. So, in case you missed some of them, here's my run through the team. Hamadison gets his place back in goal after a brilliant job by Storchek. Christensen, who's now fully back from injury, gets the left-back option over Justin. Maybe controversial, but that's why I'm going with it. I think this is where he makes a statement and shows that he's committed to Leicester. Doyle and Faze make the back two pairing, and Pereira obviously keeping his position on the right. Winks will be the holding midfielder in the middle of a midfield three with Dewsbury Hall on his left and Cassidy, I'm going to call him that, all the way through his life at Leicester. Cassidy, the new boy, getting a start on the right side of Winks in that midfield three. And that would then lead me to keep Mavididi on the left, having a Pratt on the right, which doesn't sound good in hindsight, but you can't help a name, and Nacho Man in the midfield. I don't think any of you are really that surprised by my pick of Nacho, because when I can find it, you may think, Brad picking Iheanacho, I wonder why. if you're going to get it used against you, you might as well use it to your own power. I don't know if any of you know out there, but my favourite play, if you haven't picked up on the hint so far, is this. Macho. I wasn't dancing. I wasn't singing. It's not live. I'll edit it out. They'll never see this in the catch up. But thankfully for you on podcast forms, you don't have to see my little jiggle dance in there, which may help. But there you are, guys. There is my team for the 11. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let's see what you guys in the comments have had to say in regards to whether you agree or disagree. Well, I knew it. I knew Chris would say it. Brad Iheanacho and Man Love. Yes, it is, Chris. There it is. Shout it to the hilltops. Me and Nacho. Oh, I do love to see him play. Terry, yes, I am. I'm playing an inverted fullback and an extra 8 system with only three at the back. With only 3. No, Terry, that's to indicate Winter with a deeper 3. More that centre mid defensive role. Box to box, I believe it's called more than anything. It's more the defensive side of it. It will still be a flat midfield 3, but I like to try and be fancy. It's a back 4, a midfield 3, and then 3 up front. Chris, it's too late. The payment's already in the check. It's already cleared. No Vestergaard, he says, yes, sacked Brad. Oh, yes, of course. Look, I have to admit, you all know me. I may have said some unchoice words about Vestergaard over the past 2 years, but the man's been given a chance under Endo. And as long as he keeps playing well for us, I welcome him into the team. But for me, I think it's 2 at the back, and I think we need to have a little bit of extra pace, which Kate will be happy to see if she's watching this or watching it back. She will be happy to know that there is no Vestergaard. So I say we have a revolt, Kate, me and you. Justice for me if I get sacked from this. And here is Chris again, just saying. Female Aussies went waltzing earlier. Crocodile Dundee, Dame Edna, Kylie Minogue, Hugh Chapman, Chris Hemsworth. Your girls took one hell of a battering. And then he does some hashtags of certain branded lager and hashtag allegedly, so the lawyers can calm down and stop ringing my phone. He did say the word allegedly. There you are, guys. I know obviously it's a little bit a shorter show, but I am on my own because Craig is a busy man. Now, I just wanted to say the words busy while I figured out which one of them screen layouts it was to pick. But thank you all for joining. Leave your comments down below. Thank you for all those that I can see in the top left-hand corner that have been watching throughout the show. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope you've enjoyed all the words I guess Tom has to say. Do go and check out his material. I believe Chris has put all his details in the description down below. If not, they will get added into the comment section, I'm sure. Chris, not to give you much more work, but just to be a knobhead. And last but by no means least, do go and check out our sister channel on your way out. I'll turn out the lights. Don't worry about that. On your way out, click the link to our sister channel. It is the quiz channel. It's all things football, but it's not just productive to Leicester, it's for everybody. So go check it out, show it some love, because if you love quizzes and football, you're going to be in heaven. Just some last comments as you're leaving out the door. I can hear your voices going, Brad's a knobhead, get him sacked. No, I can hear it. Thanks, Chris. He says, well done. And Nate says, great show, Brad. Take care. Take care, everybody. I've been Brad. I've been your host. It's been nice to see you. It's been nice. And with that, I will say I've ruined the perfect chance to do the outro the way I wanted to. So,
Bell end.
Says goodbye too. It's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from him. See you later, everybody.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.